In today's episode of the Pathfind Presents podcast, I have a very interesting guest with me here today. I'm with Christian Bannister, who is, digging in marketing at BrightLocal. And essentially, what is BrightLocal? I'm just going to give you a brief overview, guys, and then Christian is going to, get right into it with us. So essentially, BrightLocal helps to make local marketing made simple. So there's a lot of specifics actually when you're running local businesses and want to optimize for local search. So we're going to be talking about that today and see how Christian is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Lucas. Thanks for having me on.
Very good. Maybe in your own perspective, what is BrightLocal all about?
Yeah, sure. So you gave a really good overview there. So we are a software as a service company, and we provide local SEO products and services. And so local SEO, or local search engine optimization, is a subset of what you might call traditional SEO. And local SEO is focused on helping businesses show up in search results. So mainly Google, but also Bing. And those are search results that have local intent. So if you think of the different queries someone might use, it could be plumber near me, or dentist in Tampa, or best pizza restaurant in Brooklyn. So those are considered to have local intent, but it doesn't just have to contain a location. Google's really good at understanding it. Google's really good at understanding when generic keywords have local intent. So if someone searches for mechanic, Google will know that that search is typically going to need their car fixed. They're not likely to want to read the IMDb page of the Jason Statham movie, The Mechanic. So Google's really clever at understanding when there is local intent. And so it will show what are typically local businesses that hopefully help the person who's searching find the service or product they need. And from a consumer perspective, like, local search is huge. So Google's revealed in the past that 45% of all searches have local intent. But actually, in what we do in the kind of software space, local SEO is much smaller than traditional SEO. So traditional SEO, you've got likes of SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz. In our space, there isn't probably anyone at that scale. But if you think about the sheer volume of local searches that are happening and the number of local businesses around the world, for us, it's always going to be a huge untapped opportunity. So, we're continuing to tap into it and, growing as a result. So really at BrightLocal, we provide tools that will help businesses compete in local search. So helping them audit their website and online visibility, tracking rankings, tracking other digital marketing metrics, helping them manage and generate reviews. So it's worth saying that reviews are not a factor in traditional SEO, but they're a huge factor in local SEO. So really, it's there to help businesses build their online reputation and create that social proof, as well as being a ranking factor. So there's many aspects of local SEO. And what we try to do is provide an all-in-one solution that can help marketers tackle what we consider to be the most impactful aspects.
Very cool. Very succinct. My question would be now, the clients, are those actually the local businesses, or is those agencies that would be running marketing for them, or is that a mix?
It is a mix, definitely. Around 70% of our customers are agencies, and that's generally a reflection on how the local SEO space works. So if you think of a local business owner, they might not have the time or the know-how to go about SEO. So agencies are filling that need. And then in turn, the agencies are coming to us to help power their services and reporting that they offer their clients. But we do get the intrepid small business owners, the ones who want to do it themselves, coming to us directly. And then also we have larger brand customers as well. So brands that have brick and mortar locations, hundreds, potentially even thousands. And the thing that actually surprised me the most when I joined BrightLocal was the sheer diversity and breadth of the customer base. So you've got small local businesses, operating in one town, and then you've got national and potentially global brands. And they're all actually competing in local search and going up against each other. And they're all in need of solutions to help them do it better.
Very, very good. Cool. Now, obviously, the golden question, you as a marketer having to reach marketers. How do you guys do this? What is sort of the client acquisition channels that you guys tap in?
So we're 100% inbound. We don't do any outbounding whatsoever. And that has been built up over time. We've always really tried to invest in the marketing that we do, the brand that we have. So every lead is coming directly through our website. Search is our biggest contributing marketing channel, which is a good thing, because it wouldn't look great if we sucked at SEO and we also sold SEO products. And then, a lot of word of mouth and referrals. We don't do a huge amount in, say, PPC or digital advertising. So generally, it's all organic growth for us, but we're always on the lookout for kind of different channels that we might not be tapping into, or, just looking for the opportunities of channels where we could put a bit more effort and focus.
Gotcha. And with all of this inbound focus that you were describing, how do you look at the website? Like, I mean, I'm sure it's there for client acquisition in a way, but where do you see the strength of the current website versus maybe room for improvement?
Well, in terms of room for improvement, we are actually kind of in the process of updating our website. So I always view that there is room for improvement, and generally you've got to rely on the data to tell you where that is, but also you can use your own knowledge of kind of your customers, of the market, and your own marketing hat to kind of figure out where those improvements could be had. So yeah, it's obviously a key part of our business. It's where all of our leads are coming from. So we're always really looking to say what could be improved, doing lots of A/B testing across the board to just try and move the needle in every place that we can on the website.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. What I'm also kind of curious about is you choose a free trial as a conversion goal. Is that something you guys are experimenting with? Has that always been the case? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's something that's always been the case. We've always wanted to set ourselves out as a self-service business. I think with the customers we're serving, the price point that they'd be expecting to pay means that actually, we need to have a very efficient and cost-effective sales process. That doesn't mean that we don't get involved and we don't do anything high touch. And then I think additionally, it's just like, well, let's just let prospects get inside the product. Let's not create any barriers. Let's not, leave them waiting. If we can help them just kind of get inside the product, guide them when they're in there, there's no barriers, there's no credit card needed, then we think that that's really going to just help them kind of get closer to value and shorten that time to value. And obviously for us, it helps us deliver a lot more leads.
Very, very cool. I want to switch gears slightly and talk a little bit more generically about marketing with you, since you've been in the space and obviously very deep in the local space. What do you feel is the challenge when it comes to bringing innovation into sort of the role and the function, right? If you want to bring in innovation, what is challenging?
Time and resource, I think. That's always probably the biggest challenge of any marketer, because there are so many channels that we could be working across. There is so much that we could be doing to help build our brands and attract customers. So I think it's about a couple of things. One is to experiment, to kind of go at something new, and don't try to over design it when you're first doing it. Really just put it out there and see, so for example, I host my own podcast, and we just wanted to put it out there and see what the response would be. Hopefully it would be a success, and we kind of continue to build on it. If it resonated with our audience, which thankfully it did, I'm still doing it. But I think it's, just think about what's the quickest way that you can put something out there, start to learn if it's working, and then actually, if you can see the signs that there's more potential there, then potentially put more resource there. And I think the other one is just to really go deep on the things that work for you. So you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to have an approach for every single channel. If you know that certain channels are the things where they are delivering for you, it's the channels that your audience typically uses, then don't get distracted by all of the other options that you could have. Try to stay consistent and deep, and really go at a channel and see how much you can get out of that.
Very cool. It's a very focused approach. One more sort of generic thing. Where do you see, we spoke a bit about website updates, actually, where do you see the challenge in conversion optimization, especially, for inbound driven companies that occurs from time to time to be a topic of focus?
I think with conversion rate optimization, it's making sure that you're not just moving buttons around and changing the color of things, and actually having an hypothesis that's based on a deep understanding of your customers and research. Now that part can take longer, right? And it can potentially feel that you're not really doing it at the pace that you want, but just kind of going at it and just jumbling pages around and chucking a new headline on there, yes, you might land on something that works, but if you can actually have research and an understanding of the customer, of the market, of how you need to position to back that up, then you're going to hopefully be a lot more successful at it.
Yeah, super interesting. Last question on the field of marketing. It's a kind of a trick question, maybe. I would be curious, right? If you would have to focus on one thing, right, to bring marketing forward for BrightLocal, would you focus on establishing a roadmap? Would you start creating growth initiatives? Would you focus on messaging to improve that? Or would you deep dive into reporting, like basically to educate listeners? Like, where would you start?
Oh, that's a really tricky question. I think I'd rule out reporting straight away. I think that there has been a tendency with the kind of growth of digital marketing for marketers to feel like they need to have their heads in reports and dashboards and kind of looking at charts and looking at numbers, when really, that stuff can tell you, what's working, but also a lot of things can't be measured. The customer journey is not linear, it's not logical. You have to really be able to answer questions with reports and not just kind of spend time in there hoping that insights will jump at you. So I'd say kind of eliminate that. I'd say messaging, yeah, definitely you should be focusing your time, but ultimately, you do need to get people to see those messages. So if I was going to say kind of one thing, I'd say probably invest in your brand as early on as possible. Really try to kind of establish who your brand is. Try to kind of obviously build some awareness around your brand, and then just kind of have that as the foundation that a lot of the other stuff then builds upon. So you can probably get away with your messaging not being 100% perfect when you first start out. And I think as long as you can get people kind of to your website or get people kind of talking about your brand, you're able to adapt that. But it's very hard, I think, maybe when you go at it and you've got all of these channels working, to kind of then take a step back and start think, oh, but what are we going to do to build our brand? So have that mindset early on.
Very cool. Very, very interesting. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about you and your journey. So I'm curious, right? With all the marketing content that is out there, how do you choose what to pick and what to read? And maybe even do you have a filter mechanism of what not to read?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of a case that I try to absorb myself in things that just aren't purely, marketing. So, listening to podcasts like Planet Money, where, I'm learning about behavioral economics and the economy and consumer psychology and things like that I feel like, bring more insights to kind of what I'm doing than say, kind of trying to learn about new marketing tactics or trying to learn how to use certain marketing channels. So that's generally how I view it. I do obviously have some people in the marketing industry that kind of generally just look to Dave Trott, Mark Ritson, kind of, legends in the field. And, when they're talking about something, obviously take notice. Don't always take it as gospel, but I generally try to kind of have a narrower view on kind of what's being said in the marketing industry, and then have a broader view of things that kind of sit around marketing that maybe aren't 100% related, but could be teaching me something that helps me understand how to go about marketing better.
Very cool. Since we slowly come into an end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Yeah, sure.
What's the last book you read?
Oh, that's a good question. What is that last book I read? Oh, well, this isn't going to be rapid fire because I can't remember the name. Touch in the Void. So which is a book. There's also been a documentary made on it. And yeah, a couple of months back, I just kind of got really interested in this idea of people who just go out on these, extreme adventures. So, climbing Everest, just this kind of like, I never could get my head around like what motivates someone to kind of put their life at risk. So I find it really interesting learning about that. But I have no motivation whatsoever to kind of get a rucksack and climb up a mountain personally.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very interesting. What's the one single thing your company's focused on the most at the moment?
For us, it has been actually really narrowing what we're trying to do. So earlier on, I said, we've got lots of different types of customers who use our product. And we also probably have, quite a broad product set. And we've realized that we've actually been making compromises along the way by trying to serve, lots of different customers. So for us, actually, we've gone through some extensive research that we've done internally to basically really understand, okay, well, which segments should we be targeting? Who should we be prioritizing what we build for in the future? And also, where are the places that we definitely want to play and where are the places where we don't want to play? So for example, social media, yes, there might be customers out there who might need some social media publishing from BrightLocal because, they do that, but actually that space is huge, right? There's loads of different products in there. You've got Hootsuite, you've got Buffer, and they have the benefit of being solely focused on social, whereas we want to be solely focused on local SEO and being comfortable with the things that we don't do.
Yeah, very cool. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what's the one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
Maybe just being able to flip a switch and having all of the features you want straight away. I mean, it'd be nice to have that stuff out there, the stuff that you have in your mind and you're kind of lining up and, kind of really want to bring to market and just having them there ready. But I guess for me, it would probably be just like the ability to really define kind of how we want to use technology and then having the technology work around us rather than kind of looking at the technology and then trying to build your strategy off the back of it. So, there's obviously loads and loads of different bits of technology that do loads of different things. And one thing I actually try to make sure that we don't do is kind of get too bogged down in the technology and really think more about what we actually want to kind of achieve with our customer journey. What's the content that we think is important? How can we add value? And starting from there and seeing what's possible with the technology rather than say working back. And obviously it'd be brilliant if we had these great ideas and then the technology just allowed us to do that, but that's not always the case.
Very cool. Very cool. Very last question. What's the one advice you would give yourself if today would be your first day working with BrightLocal?
Talk to customers earlier. So this is something I've done a lot more over the last year, and it's had a huge impact. And I think this is something I've really come to later in my career. I think when I first started out, I maybe was the kind of typical marketer who thinks that they know what their customers want without really ever kind of going away and doing the research and talking to customers. I think, I kind of saw it maybe not as marketing's job to kind of be talking to customers on a regular basis. And over time, I've kind of realized that the amount of time I spend second guessing what customers want could actually be better spent going direct to the source, talking to the customer. And that's opened up a huge amount of doors for me, really. I mean, it's obviously given me a deeper understanding that's helped me execute, but actually beyond that, it can be really transformative to your career. So if you think of the kind of 4 Ps of marketing, so you've obviously got product, you've got price, you've got place, and you've got promotion. Over, I'd say the last 10 years, there's just been this kind of new thinking that promotion is the only thing that marketing does, that they're there to be on social media, publish content, send out email campaigns. And really, it is kind of limiting in the view that what marketing can do in a business. And I think, potentially some kind of business leaders, that's what they view marketing is. When you look at job ads out there at the moment, it's always like, we want someone with experience with, doing email, and we want an experience with doing, using these different pieces of technology. We want, you need HubSpot experience. And there's not as much focus on kind of like, well, the foundations of marketing, being able to research and diagnose issues, be able to kind of shape messaging and positioning. And I think talking to customers really gives you a great path to do that. It's going to obviously help you grow your influence in your company, open up a lot more doors, because, those 3 other Ps are probably not going to be delivered to you on a silver platter. You're going to have to be proactive and go out there and really show that you have a great understanding of customers and that you can have impact. And then the other thing is, if you're talking to customers, you're going to get so many great insights that you can apply to your marketing. You could actually just take their words and they're doing the copywriting for you. They're going to verbalize what their problems are and how they talk about their problems. And, that's going to be like gold for you when it comes to actually creating marketing messages that resonate.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that you bring it back to that basics, right? Just, it's so simple. Like, why are the other three P's a little bit overlooked when looking into today's skills? Interesting. Very, very good. I want to wrap it up, Christian. I think you brought a lot of interesting things to the table. I really appreciate you taking the time. What's the last thing that they should remember, the listeners, about BrightLocal, if they forget anything else?
Yeah, I mean, so if you work in a business that operates locally, or if you're an agency and you have local business clients, then come check us out. Come check out BrightLocal. We've got products that can help you tackle local SEO more effectively, but we also produce a wealth of educational content that can help you understand and be successful at it, even if you don't decide to use BrightLocal. So terrible salesperson at the end there, but it's kind of how we go about things. We try to put a lot of stuff out there that adds value, not just to our customers, but the kind of overall audience. And we hope that if we add value, we build affinity that maybe, down the line when they have that problem that potentially can be solved by BrightLocal, they'll come to us.
Very good. Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathway Presents.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Lucas. It's been brilliant.